Hi ladies, nice, thank you so much for coming. We are starting a new book. It's called Sefer Shemot, alright? And let's talk about some beautiful subjects that we'll learn from Sefer Shemot. There was this woman that came into a store, and she was looking to buy a nice set of teacups. She saw this beautiful cup that she never seen before. So delicate, so nice design. She looks at the cup, and all of a sudden, the cup starts talking to her. Tells her, "You think I always have been like that?" He tells her, "A while ago, I was just a piece of clay, muddy, dirty clay, nothing special, and no, it wasn't pleasant for touch, nothing. And then this man, he took me, he put me in this dark room. He started beating me, he started kneading me, he started crushing me, he started paying so much force on me and work on me. And as much as I scream, it's not really helping. He continues. And then he puts me in this, he puts me in this turning wheel, this spinning wheel. He puts me in this wheel, and I get dizzy. It spins so fast, I cannot. And then he tells her, afterwards, he puts me in this hot burning oven. And I feel like I'm going to burn now. What is he doing to me? He put me in this hot oven. And after I felt that this heat penetrates into me and changes my essence, I felt that all my nature changes. This is when the door of the oven was open, and he let me cool down next to the window. You know, I cooled down a little bit, and then a very sharp smell of paint wraps me. He draws on me, and I feel that I'm going to suffocate, and I'm going to be choked by this toxic smell, and I can't anymore. And then he put me again into this hot oven. Now the temperature was much higher, and I felt already I can't. I scream and I cry. And when I felt that I'm going to give up soon, this is me, this is my fate, whatever I cannot really do anything about this, he took me again out, let me cool to rest and to recover next to the window. And he put a mirror next to me. I look at myself, and I feel, I never seen such a beautiful thing in my life, but that was amazing. What did he do out of me? He saw the most beautiful, porcelain cup of tea, design, beautiful painting, coloring in there, and the guy tells him, the guy that designed him tells him, "You think, that I tortured you so much, but if I wouldn't need you, and I wouldn't crush you, and I wouldn't do all these things to you, you would stay a piece of mud, a piece of clay that would deteriorate by the time, and nothing is going to be out of you. And if I wouldn't put you in this hot oven, okay, you wouldn't unify, you wouldn't become united, and it wouldn't stand, all whatever I did to you. So you really needed that. And if I wouldn't paint you, and you felt like you choked, it was also necessary, because who's going to buy a gray, boring piece of clay, in the store? And if I wouldn't put it again in this hot temperature, so what would put you together and make you need something that will stay, that the beauty is going to stay forever, for a long time. And it was all necessary, it was all important to do. So this is how the guy finishes. Now he tells him, I see in you whatever I saw in the beginning. I saw your piece of clay, and I knew what I wanted to create from you, and I designed you, and I knew that I did whatever I wanted you to become. This is a parallel to Am Israel, the Jewish nation. That's exactly what happened to us, our life. Our tests that Hashem puts us into, they give us strength, okay? They make us whoever we are. Tests are not given just, to see how we love Hashem or anything. It also make us stronger people. When we left to Egypt, Hashem put us into this exile of Egypt, okay, to purify ourselves so that we will be worthy to accept the Torah and, Be'ezrat Hashem, to inherit the promised land. Now think about this. What did the Torah do to the nation except whatever the Torah did to us? The Torah is the one that freed the whole world. The whole world at that time, they were all idol worshippers. Believed in stones and in trees, that they created the world, that they give them strength, they give them the mazal, the luck, that they worship them. And the Torah revealed to the humanity that what is monotheism, what is to believe in one Hashem, in one God. And this is what made us a chosen nation. When you see big, powerful empires fell apart, disappear throughout the generation, throughout the history, we stayed around, we survived. How come? When we look at, when the outlook of when we look at whatever we suffered in Mitzrayim, in Egypt, in this way, so in a way you may say to yourself, okay, it was a reasonable price, whatever we paid there, it wasn't so bad, it was worthy there, whatever we went through, to be able to accept the Torah. The Exodus, the fact that we left Egypt, gave so much power, not only to Jewish people, to the whole humanity. People, okay, there were a lot of slavery, there were a lot of emperors like Pharaoh, like other rulers that slaved people. People started to believe that they could get out of slavery because the exodus of the Jewish people. Okay, this is when they started to have all kind of revolutionary ideas and movements. Okay, we suffer, we have to get out of this. We have to do something about this. So this is what the Torah did to the other nations. So the exile that we went to Egypt, yeah, it wasn't easy, but it granted us our eternal existence, because whatever we went through, okay, how would the Jewish people survive or start fresh after the destruction of the temples? It was a devastating time. After the Inquisition, after the Holocaust, after the communism, how could we start all over? This is the quality of the Jewish nation that Hashem gave us. Rav Moshe Sherer, okay, Zatzal, he was a rabbi. He was the executive director, if you can call it, of this Agudat Israel organization. And within his duty, he had to do a lot of stuff. Many times he had to fight against all kind of laws that they wanted to legislate, to make here against Judaism. He would fight against this. It wasn't easy life. It wasn't easy task. He had a lot of objections within, from the inside and from the outside. And he wouldn't despair. He would continue. He would strive. He would fight. He would do. And one of the guys is asking him, what gives you the power? How can you continue on? You know, you never feel like you want to give up. You continue with, who gives you the strength? Who taught you this? He tells him, my mother. And he tells him about him when he was young. When I was small, he said, I became sick and I had a very, very high fever. And my mom, she asked the doctor to come. Those days the doctors used to come and pay a visit. And the doctor came. And he prescribed me a very, very urgent prescription. I have to go to the pharmacy, and she had to go and buy it. Fine. He bought she went to the pharmacy. She didn't have the whole amount. It was very expensive, obviously. And she didn't have the whole amount. She begged the guy, the pharmacist. It wasn't the owner. It was his substitute, something. She begged the guy to give it to her in the amount that she had. She didn't have the whole amount. He agreed. He gave her the medicine. She was so thankful. She was so happy. She was rushing home to give this medicine to her child. And then the road was slippery or icy. She fell, and this very, very expensive bottle, this medicine, broke to pieces, and she felt so bad. It was that moment she felt it was the end of everything. What should you do now? She doesn't have money to another medicine. Her son is in a very dangerous situation. What she's going to do? She went back crying to the pharmacy, another half an hour walk or something. At that time, the owner was already there. She gives him the bag where she collected the pieces of the medicine, the glass, whatever, with the name of the medicine. The guy looks, he smells this, and he goes quickly to the end of the store. He comes back with a new medicine. She tells him, "But do you agree that I'll come at night times and I'll clean every night for the whole month if you want? I will clean because I don't have the money to pay for it." He tells her, "I want to tell you something. I looked at the medicine. It was the wrong medicine that you gave. And you have some kind of guardian angel or something that protected your son, and you didn't have a chance to give it to him. And I apologize for that, and I give it to you for free, even though it is expensive, but it's our mistake. Please forgive us," and so on. Rav Moshe says that his mother at that moment taught him that no matter what the circumstance is, never give up. She felt at that moment, this is the end of this. She won't be able to give him, she won't be able to buy him, she won't be able to cure him. Who knows what's going to happen? He tells the guy, "I learned from my mother not to give up, to continue on, to strive, to fight, even though I don't see any way how to win the situation." HaKadosh Baruch Hu, he tested Avraham Avinu in all kind of tests. Okay, we know that he had 10 tests, some say he had even more. Rabbi Yonah says that the 9th test was Akedat Yitzchak, and the 10th test was bearing Sarah. What happened? Imagine to yourself, Avraham Avinu is doing Akedat Yitzchak. He prepares himself a lot. He wakes up early in the morning, mentally prepares himself, physically prepares himself, and everything. He has 3 ways to go. During the day, all these 3 days, he can regret, he can think, he can have doubts, he prepares himself a lot to that. And the Satan comes and bothers him, doesn't let him, and talks to him, talks him out of this stupid idea, and he doesn't listen. And he does want to sacrifice his son no matter what, because Hashem said. Eventually Hashem told him, "I just wanted to test you. You don't have to sacrifice him." He feels great. He did his part. He did it. How should he feel now? He should feel high. He should feel so good. He should come home and tell Sarah, "I'm so proud of myself. We did it. Baruch Hashem." What happened instead? His beloved wife died. Isn't it's like a slap in his face? Hello? I just did this heroic action that, this zchut is going to be forever for my children. And Hashem, instead of rewarding me, letting me rest a little bit, enough all with this test, now you're killing my beloved wife? And Abraham didn't ask anything. He didn't have doubts. He didn't. This is his 10th test, says Rabbanit Yehoshua. This is so hard. He says here even more. He says that for Akedat Yitzchak he had to prepare this, but this, when his wife died, it was a shock to him. He wasn't prepared to that at all. How would he act now? He says the same way he prepared for the big nisyonot, same way he acted at the small, in a way, small nisyonot, small tests. In a way, this is a smaller test. Besides, Hashem promised him that the land of Israel is going to be yours. Hashem, if all the land is mine, how come I cannot bury my wife? Where should I bury her? He had to go and buy her in such a big amount of money, okay, to make sure that this place stays forever with the Jewish nation. So this is the test that Abraham went through, and he gave us this power, this strength of going through this test. Am Israel is now going, in exile. They're now in Egypt. The king Pharaoh is trying to limit them, is trying to suppress them, is trying to make it very hard on them. And in Israel it says, Vayanchu, they groaned, they moaned, and Vatasha Vatam started to pray to Hashem. Hashem, we cannot anymore, it's too much for us. So, the beginning of the redemption of the Jewish nation started in the ma'amad, in this presence, in the action of the sneh. What is this, a sneh? Moshe Rabbeinu got his first prophecy in the desert as he came next to a bush, a thorny, small, low bush. Nothing special about the bush. This bush, no fruit comes out of it. It's not nice. It's not beautiful. Nothing. It's a thorny bush. Okay. One of the rabbis says this bush has this quality that, let's say, some birds can go in easily, but cannot never leave. They get stuck in the thorny and they cannot leave. This is how Mitzrayim was. This is what Paro did to the Jewish nation. He started slavery, it says, beferach. He asked them, please, can you help me just to finish up this building? I'll help you, I'll be with you. Perach. This is how he started. Easy, smooth talk. But then once they got inside, they couldn't get freed. They needed miracles to get out of Mitzrayim. They couldn't do it on their own. They needed Hashem to help them. And the Kli Yakar explains, "Vayakutzu mipnei bnei Israel." What does it mean here? That he says, the sneh is the mashal to Am Israel. Hashem tells them that the beginning, the birth of Am Israel starts at this burning fire. What it says that it was getting fire, this sneh. It's not consumed. It stays the same. It's not becoming burned. And this was a miracle, and this is something that Moshe saw, didn't understand that. And so it happened throughout the history that so many nations, so many people are trying to suppress, to limit Am Israel, and as much as they will try, they will never be able to consume, to finish, to burn, God forbid, Am Israel and do nothing to them. And why is the sneh? Why is the sneh? So once a non-Jew came and asked Rabbi Yehoshua ben Korcha, why did Hashem reveal himself into Moshe the first time in the sneh? What's so special about the sneh? He tells him the same way that the sneh is so not special. Okay, Hashem is everywhere, even in this low bush, even in this thorny bush. Hashem is there too. Like we say, Hashem is everywhere. Once somebody asked, he wanted to check Rabbi because he was very, very sharp man. Very sharp mind. From young age, he was a very, very, very sharp. So he comes to him, he was a little boy, and he tells him, I'm going to give you a coin of gold. So expensive, a coin of gold. If you're going to tell me, if you can point me where Hashem is. The boy didn't even think. He tells him, I'll give you 2 coins of gold. Tell me where Hashem is not. Wow. So, I want to tell you something so interesting that I read today. A true story. This guy, his name is Naftali Goldman. Naftali Goldman was a man full of faith, full of believing in Hashem. Whatever happens to him, nothing can, Nothing can take him out from Hashem, from religion, from believing into Hashem. He went through the Holocaust. It wasn't easy for him. And throughout the time that he was in the concentration camps, in the death camps in Europe, he always used to help people out. If he would have a piece of bread, okay, he wouldn't keep it to himself. Always share it. Always sometimes give it to the needy, to the sick people, to the weak people, okay. He had a tefillin that somehow he hid, and he used to put it in Mesut Nefesh and give it to people to do the mitzvah also. If it's helping them out mentally, if it's helping them, giving them moral and giving them the hope that you can do it, don't worry, I'm here with you, I can help you, let's do it together. Always helping out people. Even it says in the time of the liberation, when the Americans came to liberate their camps, so they gave a lot of food to these survivors. Now, people that were not used to eat anything, to get all of a sudden a lot of food, it will kill them on the spot. And he would beg them, please don't eat it, it's not good for you. Slowly. There was this special boy, he wasn't special, but he was attached to him. His name was Hanania. He tells him, listen, I know that you have this loaf of bread now, but please don't eat it. Just take a bite out of it. I'll give you some cereal, some porridge, something that you don't have to how do you say it? Litos.
Right. Swallow?
To chew. You're not supposed to chew because they were not used to chew. If anything, they used to suck on some things. They used to have here and there. They didn't have much. And so slowly, in the evening, I'll give you a little bit, just a little bit, another bite, a piece of tomato I'll give you, a piece of this, slowly. In 3 days, you'll see, you'll be stronger and you'll be able to do it. And then you can eat whatever you want. This is how he gave him the courage to wait, to hold himself, not to eat, not to jump on this food. And Baruch Hashem, this boy survived, this Naphtali survived, and he ended up coming to Israel after war finished. When he came to Israel, he saw that Israel is not religious as he thought. And where he came to Haifa. Haifa is totally not religious place in Israel, northern Israel, and he lived there. And wherever he is, he's trying to spread out Judaism. He's trying to give hope, to help others. He got married to this Sarah, nice woman that was also a survivor, and he was trying to build a synagogue, which is he was trying to build a hut in his backyard, for people to start coming. And the people are against. What are you talking about? We don't want a synagogue over here. It's not your place. You have to destroy it. And he didn't want, of course, and they were fighting over it. And but that day, from some reason, his wife, she passed out, and he had to rush her to the hospital. They realized that she's pregnant. They didn't know. And the doctor tells him she has a very severe infection in the blood. It's so dangerous. You go home now. We'll see what we're going to do tomorrow. I'll tell you, we have to do some tests now. By the time he gets home, he sees firefighters and people gathering up. Smoke is coming from that little hut that somebody set fire over there and burned it. And he tries to pray to Hashem. Hashem, I came all the way from Europe. I really want to do what's good, for the Jewish people. I really believe in you. Whatever you did to me, I'm fine with this. I just want to spread Judaism. And if they don't want, Bezat Hashem, thank you for this. I'll build something even more fancier, something nicer, Bezat Hashem, when I have the chance, But please, one thing that I ask you, he says, this is so beautiful. He says, Hashem, I believe in you, whether, you're going to do good to me or you do bad to me. I have no problem with this. I went through tough times in my life. But one thing I want to do as a Jew, to pray, to have this tool of praying, and I pray, please make my wife healthy, make the child survive, because I want to continue from the Holocaust, to build, to be able to build, to be fruitful, to have children. That's what I want. That's what I pray. He prays so nicely. The next day he goes back to the hospital, and the doctor informs him, your wife is okay, everything is okay, the babies will be okay too, don't worry. And Baruch Hashem, this is how he continued. By the time he got into this construction business, and he became very wealthy, he was very okay. He had his son born, his name was Abraham. He had even children coming from Abraham. He saw great children, grandchildren, Baruch Hashem. At the age of 65, he built a nice synagogue, by the way, a huge synagogue with a hall for weddings and all kinds of simchas, and he did it for the Ilui Nishmat of all these people who perished in the Holocaust. When he was 65, he was at work, and then he felt dizzy one day. He didn't feel good. He said, okay, it's about time. Maybe I'll check myself after so many years. He goes to the hospital, first time in his life for this. And the doctor, he diagnosed, lo aleinu, cancer. And he starts telling him, it's a very dangerous disease. You have to be there, I have to tell you, we have to do this. And he sees that he mumbles and he stumbles and he doesn't really speak so clear. He tells him, hey, he's trained, he sits nicely on his chair. He says, I went through everything. Don't be scared to tell me what's my situation. If this is a cancerous disease, I'll manage, don't worry. I'll take care of it. There's Hashem above me. Hashem always takes care of people who and he start talking to him, all his talks about belief, about emunah, about this. He says, wait a second, I heard these words before. They look at each other, and apparently it happened to be that this boy Hanania, that so many years ago he saved his life. And of course they were so excited to meet each other. He says, from the way that you spoke to me, from the strength of your words, from the hope and belief that you always scream, I knew it was you. He was so happy to see him. He said, okay, so I did you a favor, now you do a favor to me, says Naphtali to this Hanania. He tells him, please, don't tell my wife and my son, my family, that I go through treatments. I'll go through treatments, I'll go through chemotherapy, I'll go through radiation, whatever you want. I'll take all the medicine. Just don't tell my family. I don't want them to know. The less people know, the better it is. I can ask Hashem for a miracle and it's going to help him. Don't worry. He says, okay. So for years, he goes, he takes his treatments, he comes back and go and so on and so forth. No one knew about this. 15 years later, his grandson saw his grandfather's van leaving the construction area. He thought he's going to go home, he's going to follow him. Instead, he continues until he gets to the hospital. He says, my grandfather, what is he doing in the hospital? He goes after him, and he meets his doctor. And he tells his doctor, doctor, what about my grandfather? So the doctor thought that he already told his family the secret. He told him, very grave situation, not good. The last test that I did, it didn't come out good. And so he didn't know that his grandfather is sick at all. He comes to him afterwards, he tells him, why didn't you tell us that you go through such a tough time all these years? He tells him, my boy, already 15 years ago they told me that I have only a few more days. And I believe in Hashem, and I know that He decides. He's the only one, not the technicians, not the doctors, not the results, not the tests. Nothing is going to determine what happens to me. It's only Hashem. It's only up to Him. I believe in Hashem. Everything will be okay. This is so another 3 years like that, and then he was in his 80s already. He passed away, and in the funeral, the doctor says, "I want to tell you that 18 years ago, when he came to me, I took all the results and I took it to the best doctors and those people who read the radiology and all this that read the results and everything. And all these specialists told me that it's only a few more months, not more. And against all odds, with his belief, with his trust, with his prayers to Hashem, with the way that he felt so close, always prayed from the bottom of his heart, he reached and became, he died when he's old, where all his grandkids are around him and everything and everything. This is a prayer of people who went through the toughest time in their life and still believed in Hashem, that Hashem, Hashem decides, Hashem believes in it, Hashem does everything. So, so Bnei Israel are in Egypt now. It says, "Vayeanchu Bnei Israel min ha'avodah v'yiz'aku v'ata shavatam el Elokim." They moaned, they groaned, they called out to Hashem, and Hashem listened to them. There were two frogs that once were looking for food in the yard of one of the houses, and didn't realize that, and they fell. They were jumping, and jumped and into a bucket full of cream. The owner of the house, she used to have her own little farm, and she wanted to take this cream and to make from it, to churn it and make from it butter. So she left it outside for a few minutes, and these two frogs jumps into it. Now they want to leave the place, they want to jump out, they can't. It's so slippery, right? Slippery. It's so, it's like muddy. It takes you inside instead of out. And they're jumping and they can't. So one of the frogs was very, very healthy, heavy, and she liked eating. She tells her, okay, I'm going to try, but it's not really helping. At least let me enjoy my last meal. And she, swallowed this cream and ate and died. The other one was skinny, was small, was younger. No, she didn't want to get this bad. She tried and jumped and jumped. And then, slowly, she feels that the texture of this cream becomes more solid. You know what happens when you beat and heat a lot a cream? It becomes solid, it becomes butter. This is when she was able to free herself. She gave a big big leap, and freed herself. This is a mashal to our wonderful, the way that we survive, throughout the generation, from the time that we were a nation. We don't despair. We know that we can turn to Hashem in a prayer. Every time, whatever happens, whatever situation is, praying to Hashem. Hashem, ממעמקים קראתיך Hashem. קרוב Hashem לכל קרוב, לכל אשר יקראו בבית. Hashem is listening. Hashem wants you to pray, okay? Hashem is here. Hashem is everywhere. In the lowest moments in your life, Hashem is there. So look what happens to a power of prayer. 1978, in Israel, they wanted to make a law that women would be able to do abortions with no questions asked. Obviously, the religious parties, they were against it. They didn't know how to influence, what to do, how to convince, the ministers, especially the Minister of Justice. His name was Shmuel Tamir. He was one of the big supporters for this law, and they wanted to know how to convince him. They didn't know how. So they decided that they are going to make a whole delegation of rabbis that are going to go and talk to him. Now, who would they put in this delegation? There was this rabbi by the name Harav Raphael Levin. He was the son of Harav Aryeh Levin. Aryeh Levin was a very special man. Everyone in Israel loved him. He was always caring. He was very close to this ministers in Israel, especially whoever fought in Israel before Israel was established, in Lehi, in Etzel, all this movement that were fighting against the British mandate. So Shmuel Tamir, this minister, was one of them in the past. And so they decided they want to put him in the delegation to go, and maybe he will be able to convince this minister. But before going there, this Rav Raphael Levin calls every person from this delegation and tells him, listen, I don't know if he's going to be convinced. I don't know if we were able, if there's anything to talk about, why should he listen to us at all? So please, everyone, have a prayer that Hashem is going to help us to carry out this mission. Every one of them went to the kotel, started to pray, says the say Tehillim, asked the family members to pray. They were really trying a lot. And then, at the time of the meeting, they come to the minister. They come to talk to him, and Rav Raphael tells him, "I want to tell you something before we start. Many years ago, a non-religious couple came to my father, Rav Aryeh Levi, to consult with him. The woman got pregnant, but the father, he was learning at that time to his medical school or something. He didn't felt comfortable with the fact that his wife is pregnant at the moment, and he wanted her to make abortion. The wife didn't want, and they were arguing about this. So they said, well, let's go to the rabbi. Whatever the rabbi says, well. Obviously, the rabbi started to explain to him how important it is to bring a Jewish soul to the world, how it could even benefit them later on in their years, in their late years. This boy or son or girl, whatever, is going to help them out, is going to be whatever he's trying to convince them. And then, okay, the guy, agreed, and they didn't do this abortion. And a few months later, a little boy was born, and his name is Shmuel Tamir. Shmuel Tamir is the name of this minister.
Wow.
He was shocked.
Wow.
What? Right away he calls his mother, and he asked her, was it really true?
Serious.
She starts to apologize. Listen, you have to understand, it was difficult times, this and that, there was no this and that. And when he heard that this was true, he told the rabbis, as long as I'm the minister of justice, I won't let this law to pass.
Wow.
So the rabbis later, they came to Rav Raphael Levin, and they told him, you had this winning card in your hand. You knew that hearing this story, you won't go with this law. Why did you ask us to pray? He said, even though I had this winning card, it's all up to Hashem how he's going to react. I don't know how he's going to react, but with your prayers, definitely, it made him to be, to listen to us, to favor us.